Gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Better chill us out with a little Anita Baker right in there. Come on. You are locked into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580 and all the love vibes. Caught up in the rapture, baby. Rapture is such a great word to describe love to me because it sounds exactly like its definition, just otherworldly,
yes,
dreamy,
yes,
just a great state.
Shout
out Miss Anita. You
can shout her out.
I mean, we shouting her out because she's a legend. Her music,
she is not a nice
classic.
lady.
I was gonna get to that.
She's not a nice lady.
I was gonna get to that.
She is not a nice lady. Great music, but not a nice lady.
I mean, she kicked Babyface off the tour,
She kicked Babyface off the tour. She don't pay people.
Ooh.
Should we go down the list? She don't like homosexuals. Like she is not a nice person,
Okay.
and she blocks people at random on Twitter for no reason.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Respect to the Rapture album.
Yes, and all the people of Detroit.
That's right. I mean, Detroit don't play.
Yeah.
They're a different breed. Shout out to those Midwest players.
I love it.
Anyway, you were locked into hour 3, the after hours. This is where we,
The hour of truth.
the hour of truth. Is that what
Yeah.
you called it? I said where we, relax a little bit, let our hair down. The VIP velvet ropes come down and we get into some things. Now, we were talking about spinning the block last hour with an X. So you are for it for a hookup, but not for a relationship. That's where you stand on it.
There's an asterisk. If and only if the person has demonstrated that they are a completely different person and they've shown up. They smell different when they show up. They don't look the same. You know what I'm saying? If they
look incredible? Like it's just growth and the chemistry's just like whoom.
Then
you're like, yes.
Gap it open. What's up? But I haven't seen any of that recently. All of my exes, they tend to go downhill after we break up. So it's just like,
oh, you are the elixir.
It's like, what is going on with you?
Okay.
Okay. I saw a picture recently of an ex, and I'm like, what is going on? Somebody stage an intervention because I'm not doing it.
So they didn't persevere. They didn't keep it.
Baby. I mean, I've seen some downward slides that went quicker than that one, but
that one wasn't it.
That was pretty rough.
All right. Well, continuing on the relationship vibe, once you get one, you hope to keep it.
You hope to.
Right.
Yes.
And you hope to keep it for an extended time period, right?
I can tell you what the downfall is.
So Method Man, he was recently on the Sherry Shepherd show.
Okay.
And, Meth is married. Meth is, everybody's Gen X sex symbol.
But he's been married for like 30 years.
He's 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the same girl.
Together even longer, yes. Her name is Tamika, and Tamika does look like she has hands, ladies. So,
oh, she definitely does.
Don't play. But he was asked what the secret was to longevity of a relationship, especially considering he's a rapper, he's in the music industry, all of that. And these are the thoughts that he shared.
But you and Tamika have been married for 21 years. Yeah. 21 years. And that's what makes you sexy. 21 years of being with your lovely wife. Do you have any tips for a great relationship?
Don't talk about it.
Boom.
I take that to heart.
Yeah. I think the more you keep things private and between you and her, it's more personal that way and it lasts longer.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, what I have to say is, I do agree with that to a certain extent because I can think of a relationship that I was in some years ago and the mistakes that happened that like set it off on the wrong course was discussing certain aspects with other people and they kind of got in the mix and it went other places. Who's to say if it would have, lasted, but certainly it would have helped not having all of that outside influence, involved in something that really is just between the two people in the relationship. But where do you draw the line between privacy and secrecy? What's the boundary with that?
Oh, because they're two separate things. Number one, I agree with everything Method Man said, and I'm just thinking about my last relationship. It wasn't until people actually found out and figured out that we were dating that's when it got crazy and we broke up. So that they're very valid. I don't think there should be a line because it's only y'all two in the relationship. Don't nobody else need to know what's going on except for you guys.
Right, but understand. So let me ask you this, especially in this social media era, right?
Yes.
If you were in a relationship, or we've seen the conversation as such, the automatic assumption is, oh, he, she, whomever, doesn't post their significant other. They're trying to hide them. They're trying to look single. Do you subscribe to that? Do you think that that is the case? Because here's the thing. For some, it is. There are some men that very much you like, oh, you trying to keep that in the cut so you could slide off and dip.
That wasn't the case for me. No, I dated I'm a private person, and the person I was dating was equally as private, and people knew that we were in a relationship. It wasn't a secret like all the way. You just had to be around to know. But you never saw a picture of who I was dating the entire time we dated. Never.
And I'm not mad at
and
that.
Actually, there was pictures, and you just didn't know who it was.
Okay.
Because they'd be like in the background, walking around at the video in the park, something like that. They were always there. You just didn't know.
So, if you were to date someone and they felt that not posting them on social media or acknowledging them was a red flag or a problem, how would you handle that? Is that just not the person for you, even if you really like them? Or
I don't tend to attract people who are interested in spotlight.
is it spotlight or is it because some of it sure can be linked to insecurity?
Well, let me say this. I tend to date people who are private people, and they don't share that information one way or the other. So you never really know that I'm in a relationship until like you for sure know.
I agree. I'm not a sharer in that way.
Yeah, and I think people should just always, like in my case, always presume that I'm with somebody because I'm always with somebody. Always. Even if I'm just going out to lunch, there's always somebody trying to entertain or vice versa.
Bum, 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 bum. That sounds like that's some shots. That sounds like that's directional. No, I'm just playing.
No, I'm
just playing.
No, don't, because I'm always firing shots up here.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So, boom, boom.
So, do you think that in this social media era, right? Because I once read something and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I understood the logic, but part of it was like, that sounds kind of crazy to me. Someone said that people automatically are more attracted to people that are in, especially when you're talking about men, that are in a relationship because you know that they can commit. And I thought that that was interesting. And they said that that is why a lot of men that are in, relationships get targeted. So I want to know your thoughts, Trent. I want to know your thoughts, Andy. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Let Andy go first.
All right.
Let me tell you something.
Because he's the one that's in a relationship. So you go first.
You said always assume you are in one, Trent. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay.
I used to always hear that before I even, got into relationships or whatnot. Every relationship that I've been in, the opportunities to cheat were endless. All the attention that I wanted from certain women when I was single was non-existent. But as soon as I got into a relationship whether they knew that I was in a relationship or not. I don't know if it was the way I was walking or if I was just glowing or something like that.
Your glow up was different. There was the pheromones and stuff. They were
You feel
like,
me?
shoop.
It was like, what's up? And I'm like, for real? For real? You know, I've been trying to get at you all this time. Now you know I'm in a situation. Now you trying to see what's crack. Like, what happened?
So, I mean, the thought process is, well, one, there is the thought that it's also said that in general, male or female, people are more attractive when they're in a relationship. Maybe, some people don't take care of themselves all the way because they're comfortable, but some people think that when people are attached, especially men, you know that they are capable of committing, they are capable of doing the little things to keep a relationship going.
Not necessarily.
In theory. Or, the competitive side just comes out like, oh, she got him. Let me see if I can get him. Let me see. But do you think that with everything on blast that there is some protection in keeping things off social media? I'm asking you, Andy.
Repeat the question one more time.
Do you think so in this era of social media? Because like you just said, you see, women seem to pick up or whatever when you were in a relationship and wanted to be more attracted to you. Do you think that in this era of social media that if you keep your significant other off of your social media or you don't put it on blast, it means you're hiding something?
Some people would think that, but I'm with Trent. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep things private at the end of the day. So who cares about what anybody has to say? If you feel like I'm hiding, that's on you. I don't feel the need to broadcast every aspect of my life on social media. I just
100%.
don't feel that way. Oh, I'm going to Magic Mountain. Let me go ahead and take a selfie real quick. I'm at Magic Mountain just to prove something to people that I really don't like. I kick it with y'all, but I probably don't kick it with y'all on a regular basis.
Just to prove that you got a life, you doing something, that you
like,
got stuff going on, right?
Oh, I got a girl. Look at my girl. Like, if you catch me in a tagged picture, that's probably how you gonna find out. You know what I'm saying? But
See,
other than that,
you would have to be in the room or see us out somewhere to know.
Basically,
that's how it happens.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? And I'm with you guys. I am not a sharer in that aspect.
Also, I had too many experiences. Even when I was in relationships, people just had their opinions.
Yep.
And no cap, their opinions sometimes would mess with me. And I'm sure those opinions messed with my partner who I was dating with at the time. And now we're starting to think like, oh, well, maybe this, that. No. And that's another reason why I keep it sacred. I keep it to myself. You know what I'm saying? I keep it protected. I don't want nobody tainting my mind with something. Oh, well, she used to be like this back in the day. Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear nothing negative. If you're not going to say anything positive, I don't want to hear it. So in a lot of ways, I protect, you know what I'm saying, what I want to keep and hold on to.
I'm 100% with that. I believe that too because, people can add their own experience, their own ideology or whatever. And especially, if you were just starting out in a relationship and coming together and getting to know, you don't have that sort of, that bond where you can push through things. I'll tell you what else. I remember back in the day, you would hear stuff like, remember before social media, when people didn't have readily available photos to show what their guy or girl looked like or their new person that they had met or whatever. And there was that little anticipation or whatever, seeing them and so forth. And then if your friend, for some, didn't react positively, took some of the shine off of that person. You're like, oh, damn, I thought they were the hot. So do you think that by keeping your relationships away from social media or out of that mix, that you also don't have to deal with the expectations of others impacting your relationship, or that's not something that would ever come into play anyway?
No, that's I disagree because if you're dating somebody, at some point you're going to meet their friends, and at some point you're going to meet the people that they hang around, and at some point if you guys are in a serious relationship, you're going to see these people a lot. You see what I'm saying?
Right, but if you've already sort of established your boundaries within the context of your relationship, and you already, so it's like this: if you meet John on Wednesday, right? And then Saturday you take John, and I don't know why I'm saying John, just whatever, right? John, Susie, whomever, right? Relationship thing. If you take them to meet the friend group on Saturday and you like Susie, but you don't really know, you're not locked in, or you like John, right? As opposed to maybe 2 months, bring you in the friend group where you guys are more established, you're locked in, you understand each other, and those opinions don't weigh as much on you. Do you think that like makes a difference or no?
Other people's opinions don't weigh on me anyway, because you don't have to date them. I'm dating this person.
Right.
That's
they don't taint at all, or they like,
the tainting comes
like as a friend, like, and I'm not just talking about aesthetics. Sorry to interrupt you, but just not just like aesthetics or things like that, because we know that that's personal. But let's say a friend was like, yo, he seems a little abusive, or a little aggressive or something like that. Now that's planted in your head. True or no, might just be their thing. You don't consider things like that because friends also.
Yeah, here's the thing. My last relationship, when we first started dating, like maybe it was a couple months in, and I brought them around a person that I'd known since high school, and the comment was, "Oh, well, he seems a little," and I'm like, pause. Just because somebody is quiet around you does not mean that's who they are. It's like, this person, just like me, reads the room. You can keep that opinion to yourself, because I talk to this person, I know this person, I'm cool. And what I've realized is that some people are just, number one, people that have an idea of you in their head, and and they don't think that that you'll be in a relationship. And two, they get mad because they're not in a relationship, and it's like, oh well, how did he beat me to a relationship? Or friends compete in that unhealthy way sometimes. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that negative conversation, is based on projection.
I agree with
and
that.
Insecurity that they are not in a situation too. And specifically for me, because I date men, I find that a lot of my female friends get jealous of me that I'm dating when they're single.
Really?
Oh, baby, not a lot of them. A lot of them. I can name off 5 names right now.
We don't want to do that,
baby.
Yeah.
And
listen.
It's real.
So here's the question that I have about that, and you saying that, right? Because when there's conversations around jealousy, one of the things that I guess for me personally, right? Because obviously you can see situations and you're like, dang, I would like that. But if it's not, for me, the person that I would want it to be with, or in the way that is set up for me, it kind of doesn't matter, because that's not what I would want. Even if it's nice, even if it's, like, I'm not like saying like the shade way, but even it's still not tailored for me. So I don't know. So
I
how does the jealousy sort of show itself?
It's interesting. It'll manifest itself in all sorts of ways. So it'll be little snide comments like, "Oh, were you with such and such last night? Oh, I haven't talked to you in a couple of days, so you must have been at such and such's house." And it's like, number one, why are you tracking me, and why did it have to be with that person? Like,
okay, so let me. Is that jealousy, or is that just friends being friends and giving a little rib? We'll get the answer from Trent when we come forward. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Before we came forward, we were talking with Trent the artist about, sort of relationships and what the difference is. What is the boundary between being private and being secretive? And so the conversation sort of evolved to, coupled and uncoupled friends and the interactions. And so Trent was mentioning how some of his single girlfriends take issue when he is in a relationship because they don't understand how
or just out on dates.
On just dating.
Yeah.
And so they throw shade. So Urban Spinster asked the question, would that be considered fun shade or envy? And I thought that was a good question because I know I'm the type of person like, ooh, you fancy. Oh, you got all the, whatever. And I guess that
is fun shade.
Right.
It's fun.
But could it still be taken as, and some people might, the same thing that like, oh, there's a little bit of truth behind every joke. In that, as opposed to, how you're alluding to some of the...
It is. And it's all about really tone and energy that you can feel the energy behind something when people say it,
fair.
And when it's like, good for you. And you also know when it's like, ugh, this bitch.
Yeah.
Or, this, I've had several girlfriends. It's like, you get on my nerves. You're always out. You're always having fun. You're always talking to somebody new. I can't even get one guy. And and I'm like, girl. Number one, you sit on the house on the internet, on Instagram. You don't leave. And then when you do leave the house, you don't talk to nobody.
Dang, Trent, why are you putting my business out? No, I'm just...
Girl, please.
I know. But, okay, so here's the thing.
You have to, the key to being social is talking. Every time I walk into a place, somebody's always in my face. I'll never, like, one of my homegirls came here, a couple months ago, on her way to Hawaii, and we were going to breakfast, and as I was walking into the breakfast place, the waiter, one of the hosts, he was like all in my face, right? Like, clearly, like, so I just look at him and start laughing. She's like, don't you start. And I'm like, what does that even mean? I didn't say anything. I simply walked in the place and everybody's in my face. I can't control that people want to talk to me. So I
Okay.
talk back and say hi. And even though that was fun shade and she was joking, it still is like I can't control what people are doing when I walk into a room, and I'm going to talk. It might not lead or go anywhere. I don't necessarily want anything, but you can't complain that you don't have anybody to date when you don't talk, and then when people do talk to you, you don't talk back and you got an attitude. That's not how it works. Sorry.
Okay,
Be social.
Give your dating advice then.
Talk
all
to the
right?
people.
Be friendly and smile.
Yeah,
See?
not you don't even have to smile because I never smile. They always say don't trust the big button smile, so I don't smile. Okay.
Oh Lord.
But people will still talk to you without a smile.
Maybe.
To me, I don't have a friendly face, and they're always telling me to fix my face and things of that nature, but people are always talking to me. So it's all about the energy and what you give.
Okay. So along these topics, right?
Yeah.
Of course, got a little headline grabber, a little culture thing. Speaking of, spinning the block and privacy versus secrecy, right? It's kind of related, but not. So, according to sources on the Neighborhood Talk, Kim Kardashian is embarrassed that her ex, Kanye, and his new wife, I think she's a spiritual wife, right? That there were some photos that were taken of Ye and the wife out in Italy, and it appeared, right? It appeared as if Kanye was receiving fellatio on a boat with his little cheeks out, right? And according to Page 6, they said that Kim believes something clearly isn't right with him right now, and she's very worried that the pics came out with Bianca. And her question was, how will I explain this to the kids? That she's embarrassed and worried for him. Do you think that Kim, knowing Kim's history, knowing the type of explanations that she has already, to a degree, have to explain. We saw something about that on the Kardashians regarding, I think, Saint, her older son, and discovering some things about her and Ray J's tape on Roblox. Do you think that Kim is focusing on the wrong thing?
She should not be concerned about her ex-husband walking through the streets of Italy barefoot looking homeless.
She shouldn't.
She should not.
But that's her 4 children's father.
He is married. And
spiritually.
He is married or whatever they got going on over there. Okay.
No marriage license.
Okay. So whatever he's got going on over there, let him do it. And you need to focus on raising your children, whatever that means and whatever that entails, and not really focused on somebody who's clearly unhinged and has been unraveling for years.
Okay. Well,
focus on being a mother and raising them kids and shielding them away from this crap, and then whatever.
But that was her concern. That's
yeah,
why she
but see, and part of shielding is you don't really have to explain.
Don't have to explain to them, or don't explain to the world at large.
Either. It's not time for How are they 10, 12, 9?
I mean, they're in the public eye though. They have friends. Kids talk. When we come forward, we will have more on spinning the block, privacy versus secrecy, all of that and more locked in with our contributor, Trent the artist. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA. Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
We stand side by side till the storms of life pass us by. Light my life, warm my heart.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Hurricane Idalia is impacting Georgia. The National Hurricane Center says the storm will continue to move across southeastern Georgia. Idalia made landfall as a Category 3, the strongest hurricane to hit Florida's Big Bend area in 125 years. President Biden says he plans to reach out to Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell after he appeared to have another freeze moment. While speaking to reporters today, Biden called McConnell a friend. There are concerns about the 81-year-old Republican's health after he suddenly stopped speaking during a press event in Covington, Kentucky. And President Biden is pledging $95 million to harden Hawaii's power grid against national disasters. This comes after Maui was devastated by wildfires earlier this month. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A. Copyright 2023.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Support comes from Getty, presenting The Gospel at Colonus, a theatrical event under the stars that reimagines the story of Oedipus. Blending Greek myth with Black spiritual practice, the show follows the blinded Oedipus as he seeks redemption after a lifetime of tragedy. Co-produced by Court Theater, conceived and adapted by Lee Brewer, with music composed by Bob Telson. Thursdays through Saturdays this September at the Getty Villa Museum. Tickets available now at getty.edu.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580. Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I've been drinking so much champagne, sipping, swerving in a rave. She act like I'm a chauffeur. She wanna stand in ovation. Not tryna be part of that way. Comments if we conversate. Tryna throw it in my face. Tryna get me out my game. I say, post and delete. Yeah. Post and delete. Post and delete.
Post and delete. All right. I remember this. Who is he on the song with? It's not just him. Who's on the song with him?
Post and delete.
Okay. So I would have never known Zoe Dalla's name, but I knew that it was not just Chris Brown. I knew it was some Chris Brown and someone. Shout out to Post and Delete. You guys let me know in the chat, or you could call in 800-920-1580. Do you keep your boo away from social media? Do you share? Do you tag them? Do you get involved in that? Or are you just too old for all of it and you don't bother with it and it doesn't matter to you? That's another thing. I think a lot of this stuff, not saying that older people don't have those issues or insecurities or whatever, because Facebook is crazy.
It is.
Right? But I also think that, the younger generation, because social media plays such an important role in their interactions and their friendships and how they're formed, not posting or those type of things mean a great deal more or different things than they do maybe to someone who's a little bit older and doesn't lock into it with the same way. The YouTube chat is still lit. Urban Spinster, she was speaking of our Anita Baker conversation a little while ago, and she says, I saw her in Vegas, and she was talking back to the sound man. More reverb. Wound up firing him right there on the spot. You can go. God bless you. So, I guess she's in agreement with you, Trent.
I'm so tired of people being rude and then God blessing them in the same sentence. Shut up.
Okay. So you're not here for Miss Baker.
No, I'm not. And I told her to her face when I had the opportunity.
Ooh. Why, though?
She was staring at me too hard.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. And I took the opportunity to tell her how I felt.
I do know one thing. I'm moving around. What? This is a song from, there's an Anita Baker song. I remember I was in 8th grade. It was playing. I'm blanking on the name now. I didn't listen to it for years. It's just been in the past, 15 or so years. I'm like, I could listen to that song now because I got my heart broke to it at a little party.
Oh,
a little
God.
boyfriend. So tragic. But anyway, let's talk about this.
And how old were you in the 8th grade? No, you said the 8th grade, so that was probably a Chapter 8 song.
No. Are you trying to be funny?
No.
You are trying to be funny.
No, I'm not.
No, it was an Anita Baker song.
Just Anita Baker by herself?
Anita Baker by herself.
So the first album, 86.
I don't know. Trent, why are we trying to lock down what year it was? I didn't say it was in relation to
I'm just trying to figure out the song.
I didn't say it was in relation to when the song came out.
You said you got your heart broken, so I'm trying to just figure out the song around the time. It wasn't
around the time. It was just the song that happened to be playing. That's why they still played slow songs.
You still got to share that story, though. You ain't got to say no names.
I know. Let's see. Am I going to share the story? I think a caller's on the line.
Wow, saved by the caller.
So the story really quickly, really minorly, is that I was at this party. It was one of my guy friends' parties, and my boyfriend came, but there was a girl there that liked him. And I don't know what my boyfriend was on. Again, 8th grade, so what kind of boyfriend was it really? But the point was, he ended up slow dancing with the chick to the Anita. What song was it?
Guess what? This is what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm trying to remember. I'm going to have to look it up and we'll get back to it. But anyway, that happened. So just start listening to it again. Chapter 8 is like, I just want to be your girl and stuff like that. A bomb.
Yeah.
Bomb. Was it Angel?
Angel was one.
No, Angel's chapter 8.
That was chapter 8, yeah.
So no, it wasn't that song. Has to be something from the Rapture album. Shout out to the chat. The chat is always popping. T. Sworn says, "Oh wow, I guess he's interested in hearing the story. Maybe one day. I'll
We're still trying to figure out the song.
I'm trying to remember what the song was.
You running down the clock at this point.
I'm
with
not
this
running
song.
down the clock. I can't remember. I do believe that it was something on the Rapture album. I just can't remember it right now. I'll think of it and I will get back to you. However, let's talk about this Marjorie Harvey and Steve Harvey rumor situation that came up. You know, social media, it's so easy to start a rumor now. Even more, we've always had the game of telephone where somebody can say something and, you know, things get spread around the world. However, what I'm trying to figure out, right, is Steve came out and was like, yeah, someone said that Marjorie was cheating on him with his bodyguard. And Steve was like, man, that is not what is happening. It's not what's going on, basically. But, you know, it brings to mind, again, kind of on the issue, right? Is it because Steve and Marjorie are so public and so flamboyant that people just want to throw something in the mix? Is it because Steve wrote Think Like a Man, and so people have been saying for all sorts of times he had no, you know, it was a bestseller, but then, of course, the backlash comes, and now it's Steve's not the right person to give relationship advice, and da-da-da-da-da. Let's hear Steve's comments about this, and then, oh, no, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. We'll go back to that. So, we'll visit that later. But, so Trent, I want to ask you, do you think that people unfairly come for Steve Harvey just because he wrote a relationship book?
No. I think Steve Harvey sets himself up for the things that happen that come his way because he's always saying something that is interesting, provocative, and his wife and doesn't help the situation either. I think that's a whole. It's so many rumors swirling about them that at this point it's I don't know. It's just something I don't even pay attention to. It's just like, I have my own personal opinions about that, but I'm not in that relationship. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I can only go by what I've heard, and I don't like what I've heard. So, and then you see something, it kind of matches what you've heard. You can just you just assume.
You just assume that that's the way it is.
Yep.
Really quickly, while I'm trying to find the Steve Harvey context that I originally sent Andy, before we talked to Jeff Pearlman, we were talking about NFL wives, and I mentioned that there was a wife on TikTok who was discussing the other end of the spectrum. And I want to touch on that really quick. I know it's a hard left again. We've been making a lot of them. Eventually they'll make a U-turn, but that's whatever. So this woman, her name is Allison Kutch. Her husband is Isaac Rochelle. He was playing for the Raiders. And as I said, Tuesday is cut down day in the NFL before the regular season starts and players lose their slots. So she, on TikTok, documented the process of what it feels like to be waiting to find out what happens with your life on this day. Obviously very different from Kelly Stafford, who we mentioned. Her husband is Matthew Stafford, who's the Rams' lead quarterback. Well, her husband was cut, and she's pregnant. And when we come forward, I will share a little bit about her commentary and how that relates to social media, because we're bringing it someplace. It's all together. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, I remembered the song. I remembered the Anita Baker song.
Was it from the first album?
I believe it was.
Okay.
It was Sweet Love.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not sure when it came out. I don't think that it was when it came out, but yeah.
It'll always be this way.
Yeah, and the thing is, I loved that song, and after that, I was like,
yes, that was the first album, 1986.
To the song again, and then a couple years ago, I was like, you know what? I can listen to it now. I'm over it. My teenage heart is healed.
That's good. Because, that's where the damage usually starts in our early formative years.
I mean, that is true.
Yeah.
But, Aw.
Who broke your heart? Who was it?
That's irrelevant.
Let's write him a note.
Why? What more do we have to say?
Just put a nasty face, sad face on it.
Nah, we're okay. We're okay. So, before we came forward, I was mentioning about the NFL wife who was,
preggers.
She's pregnant.
Oh my God.
And her husband was cut. And he's a lineman. He was cut from the Raiders. She has been, sort of on her TikTok vlogging the experience and so forth. Again, I ask, do you think, because initially when a few years ago when our Snapchats and the Instagram videos and stuff started becoming more prominent and the how-to videos were being created and the different things, it was very informative, it was new, it was fresh. But do you think now it's sometimes overkill?
I think everything is overkill. Just like you said earlier, it needs some type of moderation or gatekeeping. I think that it's tough when you are in a place of privilege and trying to talk about something that is when you're being disenfranchised. Because most people are going to look at that, well, you're not normal because most people aren't going to the NFL. most people can't relate to this experience anyway. So, you know, people will feel sorry for you, but at the same time, it's like it's the NFL. Most people can't relate to that experience, so they either way they're not. Most people have a job. You know what I'm saying? If they get fired from one place, they go find another job. There's unemployment, these things. So most people cannot relate to being cut from the NFL. Like, it's sad, but it's most people in America are going through what you're going through right now. What makes you so different just because your husband's in the NFL?
And I mean, she wasn't presenting
And not to
yeah.
say that I don't have empathy, because I've been there before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Several times, fired and evicted, lost cars, the whole knot. I get it, but join the club, sis. It's a part of life.
I join the club is part of life. That's hilarious.
No, seriously, and no matter what level you're on, and I think what we're starting to see is that people with wealth and all this money and fame, like, you're normal just like everybody else. So calm down and relax.
Okay, so let me ask you: is it that they misconstrue their lot, or is it the average person, or the person on the outside misconstrues what their challenges
I
and
think it's a little bit
are?
of both, because on one end of the spectrum, when you're on and popping, I caught that. When you're on I caught that. When you're on and popping, it's like I'm on and popping. But the downside of that is, you kind of hide when you ain't on and popping no more. So I applaud her for the transparency and being open, because people can relate to, like, losing a job and not having, finances and being that's a hard life challenge.
Right.
That I wouldn't wish on anybody. I completely get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard thing, because, you're rich, got this NFL lifestyle that you don't have anymore. But again, most people can't relate to that, because it's not a normal career.
Well, he wasn't like a star player or a big guy. He's a guy that seems to be gets by on maybe year to year, or
it's
maybe a 2-year deal.
Well, how much do they make a year for a lineman? Like, what, $250K or something like that?
It's gonna be more than that. The
Yeah.
average salary, the average starting salary in the NFL, the average career is 2.5, 3 years. The average salary right now is probably right around 3 or 4 million.
See, most people can't relate to making that amount of money, even in a short window of time.
Absolutely.
So it's still, most people are like, that's $3 million. Where your money at? Because you ain't blowing through that much money that quick.
I mean,
but that's coming from a person who's never handled $3 million.
True. And then the other thing that you think about is, it's kind of the same discussion that you have when you're talking about actors and actresses and so forth. They get a large sum of money, but
that could be the only time they work for the next 5 years.
Exactly. And so, they have to maintain it differently and manage it. So I'm not sure. Trent, T. Swarns is in the chat.
T. Swarns, where have you been, T. Swarns? We've been looking for you.
We missed you in the chat. He says you're exactly right.
About
Trent.
what? I try to be.
You try to be. You try to keep
about
it.
Most things. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to open your mouth and be strong and wrong all the time. We have enough of that.
I mean, absolutely. Listen, this has been an interesting talk, spinning the block.
Yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. We got a full moon in Pisces. There's a lot going on cosmically.
There are almost 6 planets in retrograde right
yep.
now. It's a super blue moon tonight.
Yep.
So the energy is all over the place.
All over the place.
All
High,
types of things are happening.
Crazy, and I got a dry Ficino. Whew.
Lord bless it. So, as we are coming down to the end of the evening, right? Go back a little bit to that spin the block topic really, really quickly to just ask one thing. If your friend asks you, recommendations about, hey, you think I should go try it one more time with da-da-da-da, are you an advocate of that? Just to try and see?
I am not going to block anybody's experience. What I'm going to say to my friend is that you already have been there before. You know what you're going to get. So as long as you know what you're going to get and sign up for it, go ahead. Be my guest. But when this goes left again, just know that I'm going to be that says I told you so.
Oh, you're an I told you so-er.
Yes. And a reform, sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. Usually I ask people, do you really want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Okay. Just know that it's consequences and repercussions with that decision. You've been there before. It's just, some stuff, it's like you got to show up different. You got to smell different. You can't be on the same stuff. Because if you are, it's like we already know what we're going to get. So why do it?
More of the same.
Why go through all the stress? Find somebody new. Spend a block with them.
I mean, but what if you can't, you know?
Listen, there's always going to be a willing participant, is whether you want to be with that or not. There's always going to be a willing participant.
Right, but just what you said. I mean, I feel
And guess what? If you don't like that one, you could pass on that one. It's going to be another one.
So just keep racking them up. Just keep running
Baby,
through them.
until you get it right.
Okay, well, really quickly, you know, it's Wednesday night.
Yes.
And we did not do any our Tubi movie review.
We have to revisit Cinnamon. I don't think we did Cinnamon justice.
We didn't.
We're going to get the director and the writer of Cinnamon on here. You know what? Shout out to Urban Spencer. She tagged, did we talk about this on the director's page, and he responded to a comment that she initiated, and it led to a DM.
And
so thanks for hooking that up, Urban Spencer. That's why you are my homegirl, and if you see me out, you are always welcome to speak. Let's take a picture for the gram.
Do it for the gram. Do it for the gram. Well, I just, you know, listen, Cinnamon, just a reminder really quickly. We'll go into more details next time. But it is the one on Tubi that stars Damon Wayans. It has Hallie Kilgore, who stars in Raising Kanan. It's just Power Book 3. And Pam Grier, the legend. And, you know, it has some twists and some turns in it. It's a crime
I rewatched it again
thriller.
today, and I picked up on a couple of things that I didn't get before, and I was like, you know, this is a really good movie.
I enjoyed it. As I mentioned, it's part of the initiative that is going on with Tubi, where they are putting money into productions that are Black-centric or, you know, Black ideals or whatever, and building up their original content as far as film and movies within that. So there's some other ones under that umbrella. This was one of the first releases. So check it out. We will talk about it further when we have the director on. And, you know, that'll be coming up in a few weeks. So we will be locking it in. T. Swarns in the chat says, "What's up, guys? Been crazy. I've been doing a lot of radio listening in lately, but glad to be back with you guys on live video."
I told you people listen on the radio.
So shout out to T. Swarns for locking in and, you know, vibing in the ride to us or just in the house.
I told you I listen on my way home every night.
That's amazing.
When
We'd
I'm
love
not here.
to hear that. Yeah. And Leslie Holmes, shout out to you. She says thank you to Trent and myself for a great show. She had fun. We always
Thank you for
appreciate
watching and listening.
you
Yes.
locking in, checking us out. Shout out to Mac. Is it Mackie or Mackley? I don't want to jack Mackley's name. Mackie. Shout out to you, Mackie. We appreciate you. Everybody that's in the chat.
Mackie, no Bob. Mm-hmm.
Everybody that locked in. Tomorrow night we have a bunch of interviews for you. One including Jermell Charlo, who is, you know, scheduled to fight Canelo at the end of next month. So make sure you are locked into that. Thank you for rocking with us on RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. On the other side, the best of KBLA. Have a great night.
Stay